grew up in a Christian family, grew up without my mother, grew up with my father actually, who loved me very much. He was like the pillar of my strength. He taught me a lot of things in the little time we spent together. Taught me to be me. He taught me not to compromise who I am. He was a hard worker. He taught me to work for what I believe in. Once he had passed, I had to move from the primary school that I went to and then go to another one where my grandparents are. Students would bully me, which was fine. I was cool with that because I was a loner. That called me names that growing up in a Christian family, I had no idea what they meant. Like words like a homosexual, words like a gay. But you know, sometimes they'd use the Swati words, you know, which are actually not worth my repeating. I only had to learn what those words are when I finished my primary school. That is when I started to, you know, try to understand what exactly do they mean, because even though they're calling me these names that I don't even know, they mean I know that I'm different from most of my peers, I'm different from most of the boys, even at home, I'm different from most of my cousins. Being at boarding school, you cannot be a loner. You know, you're with them 24/7 as long as it's a school term. So I had to make friends, acquaintances. Boarding school was actually fun. That is when I actually got to explore what being a homosexual is in the midst of people who don't even understand. It was actually cool until one night things got ugly. I got raped. I was 16 actually when I got raped. That was my first encounter with a man in bed, and he raped me, and he was actually a friend. And when I woke up very late that morning. We had a boarding school, right? You all are in a dormitory of about, was it 16 or 18? I can't remember. And you know that if someone oversleeps, you have to wake him up. Like, wake up, go take a shower, we better go for breakfast. Anywho, I woke up late that morning, and for some bizarre reason, nobody woke me up. I don't know, maybe it could have been in my head. Maybe it was something that they had all conspired. Everyone was looking at me awed that morning. I felt like, how do I express this? It's just that there's no way of expressing how you feel emotionally sometimes, especially when you feel like you just had your soul ripped off. I felt like an animal for the first time. I didn't want to talk to anyone because no one was talking to me. Everyone was looking at me funny. I went to the bathroom to take a shower. I was bleeding. It was horrible.
Due to the fears of what they don't know and the limited information on LGBTI community, there is a lot of corrective rep where it is assumed that if we help you to define yourself differently sexually, you would correct who you are.
From that moment onwards, I was feeling rebellious, I was feeling neglected, I don't know how I was feeling. After I got raped, I lost my head. I started doing drugs, I started losing my head, you know. I wasn't the normal child that my grandparents would expect me to have been. I wasn't the epitome of a child that they had taught me to be before, but of course, I was rebelling against the wrong people. I was rebelling against the only people that could have supported me should I had trusted them enough to talk to them about what was going on. But then again, how could I have trusted them? I had grown up in a situation where I had never had anyone talk to anyone about their sex life or their sex problems. I felt all alone, and I started doing whatever drug that came my way. So that is how it all started. It didn't start like that morning I started drinking, but you know, from that morning onwards, I started having these crazy thoughts in my head, and I was materializing them. I finished high school and my results were bad. And I remember that is what got my family to actually sit me down and talk to me, and that is when I actually confessed about my homosexuality. But they promised me that actually it's fine as long as you just, you know, be a good person and not do all these things that gay people do. Just be a good person, do school and whatever. Of course, after the talk, being the child that I was, I went back to doing the same thing. Things got out of the way. I failed my high school. I couldn't go to college. All my friends went to college. I couldn't. well, it hit me that actually this is bad. Everyone's going to college and I'm not, but I still went on drinking. One day I came back home so drunk. I came back home so sloshed. I thought I was going to my house and then I just went to the big house where everybody is at. And the minute I walked in, it hit me, oh shit, I'm here and I'm drunk and this is my family. I think this is true for every family. I mean, do whatever you do, but don't bring it to the family. You have to respect the family because that place is sacred, you know. So that was quite embarrassing for me. I went to sleep. I never even slept that night. I just got sober in the morning and I didn't even know how to look at my family. And perhaps that is what might have motivated me to change my behavior. I'm not going to lie and say I saw a beaming light in my face and thought, oh, this is it. But I just knew that there's no one that's going to help me. There's no one that's going to bring salvation to me. There's no one that's going to untie this bondage of being a horrible person except myself. So I had to get my act in order and I went back to high school. And I've been trying to be on track since then. One day, we're just seeing these people doing testing around the road and we're like, oh, let me try that. And then when I tried that, bang, I'm actually HIV positive, and I was like, okay. I mean, at the time, it really shattered me.
Currently in Swaziland, LGBTI issues are a criminal offense, to say the least. I mean, currently the government would not allow condom distribution in prisons. A lot of young people do not actually talk about themselves being in LGBTIs because it is a criminal offense to be one. With the secrecy surrounding LGBTI issues at the moment, it means a lot of sexual activity happens behind doors and what we call after nine relationships, and that results in people engaging in risky sexual behaviors. And most relationships are formed without people knowing each other, and hence result in high transmission of HIV.
It really shattered me. I mean, I thought that was the end for me. I had no idea what HIV was. The only thing I knew about HIV was that, oh, the king declared it a national disaster. Oh, well, good for them. But, and now here I am. I'm a part of the statistics. It became a lot for me. I actually went into depression for a while. Yeah, actually talking about my serostatus makes me trouble a little bit. So, but the bottom line is I'm living with it. If I'm living with it, someone might live with it and be happy. And because I'm living with it, I'm happy. It's not because I'm different. It's because you can live with it as long as you take your medication, as long as you live a healthy life, as long as you don't stress, as long as you eat right, as long as you have a healthy lifestyle. So you can live with it. I think that is what actually motivates me each and every day. That it's not a death sentence. It's just a diagnosis. I'm at the University of Swaziland and I'm going to second year. I joined the university's peer educators program. It's called PCEs. I heard from the office that there's actually a call at the University of Pretoria to come make presentations on sexual and reproductive health rights. So I went there, I represented the university. So when we got back to the university, we had now fresh new discussions. So that is when we started trying to host conversations with the peer educators themselves. And with these conversations, it becomes a panel with every student free to come in here, and then they ask questions after we make presentations. So it has become easier that way for university students to actually have a conversation, even though there's more to do, but it has become easier. There was once, after the pageant Mr. Uniso, I bumped into these guys and they were like very aggressive. And then one of them started saying, oh, so you're the gay boy? And then me being me, I was like, yeah, why? Who wants to know? And then they started to get aggressive. And it was in my block where I stay at the university. And they were like really getting handsy, like real quick. I could tell that in the next 15 seconds, I'll either be down unconscious or just be plain dead and bleeding. So luckily the guys in the block, I mean, they saw me, I was walking in. They just came in and said, no, you're not going to do anything to him, like whatever. And then someone told me to go to my room while they dealt with these guys. They helped me that way. So ever since, I've been living in a bit of fear that what if something like that happens again? But then again, I feel safe because I know that my peers who know me, who actually understand me. They're there to protect me. So it's all about, striking the balance. There's things you can do and there's things you cannot do to keep yourself safe. I now have a purpose. I now know what I want for my life. I know what I want for those around me, and I know what I want for those that I represent as a community. I've been telling people that sometimes I feel like it's not even about me. It's about the people that come behind us. I want them to grow up and say, why should we suffer? Why should we all fight the same battles? Why can't I fight a certain battle and those that come after me fight a different battle? Because I have fought this one already. I have this burning hunger, thirst to push the advocacy and the activism further, the movement. I want to push it further, and for me to push it further, I cannot be found behind the desk at a firm that actually deals with things that have nothing to do with this. I want to work in the movement because my passion is the fight against homophobia, the fight against stigma and discrimination, liberation of homosexuals in the country. I just feel like as the LGBTI community, we are steps behind in terms of health, accessibility and services. So I feel like I want to also be a voice for the for the end of HIV infections. I'm optimistic and I'm happy about the prospects of what the future hold for me, because in as much as I do something, the universe is going to conspire in my favor.